So, my name is Andrew Weiler. I've been asked by many people over a long period of time is what are the most important skills to develop in order to learn a language successfully to the right up to the top, to native like levels? In my mind, there is no doubt what the answer is. If we're talking about speaking and listening, many people emphasize the need for learning, improving your pronunciation, for memorizing words, to learning the grammar really well, and a whole host of other things. In my mind, look, to some degree, that all of that is important, but there are of secondary importance, really, to the fundamental skills that we have to learn. And to get the answer to that, what you have to realize is that language is a skill, and skills have certain characteristics about them and certain requirements. So, for example, if you want to learn to play guitar, you have to play guitar. There's no other way around that. If you want to learn to cook, you've got to cook. There's no way around that. If you want to learn to play basketball, you've got to learn to bounce the ball, then you've got to learn to shoot the baskets, then you've got to run while you're bouncing the ball, and so forth and so on. So, for all these skills, the fundamental criteria for success, or at least mastery or learning, is you have to do the skill, and there's no way around it. So, you can see that, for example, learning grammar is not actually doing the skill. Um, sort of memorizing words is not really working on the skill. So that's where the problems lie. So you may be surprised by me saying that, but I'm sure that if you were to ask anyone who's become competent, not just competent, skilled, very skilled, at having learned a second language, whether it be English or another language, they would tell you that without a doubt, the thing you have to do is work on the skills I'm going to talk about. Now, they will inevitably talk about the other things that they may have done, like learning some grammar and the vocabulary and so forth. But the thing to realize is that without working on the fundamental skills I'm going to be talking about, the other ones that we just talked about, these grammar and vocabulary and pronunciation, they're secondary, really, and they will not get you there. So, this, so in speaking, really, in speaking a language, really the skill we're talking about is speaking. And so you have to speak. There's no other way around it. So whatever you want to do, whoever you are, the criteria, the important activity that you have to do is you have to speak the language you're learning. Now, to speak the language you're learning is not enough, because you have to hear what you're saying, and you have to hear what other people are saying. So listening becomes a fundamental skill, a skill without which I believe you'll never learn another language. It's just impossible. So this is the skill that very few people, in fact, talk about. They talk about it sometimes incidentally, but in my opinion, you can only get the level of language you're going to get to in speaking another language is the level to which your listening has got to. If you have a very low, poor listening skills for whatever reason, I can guarantee you that the language you speak will be at a poor level as well. So the fundamental skill that you have to work on is your listening. And many people, of course, work on their listening and listen to things. But what I'm saying here is what you need to do is actually focus on the skill to improve it. And for most people, listening comes down to, well, I'll listen for the pronunciation and I'll improve it, and of course, I've got to listen to the meaning so I understand it. But for many people, I would say, it doesn't get past that point. And really, you have to get way past that point, because through listening, you can virtually learn any aspect of this spoken language you're learning. So, for example, learn to focus on the structures that people are using, learn to focus on the word order, learn to focus on the expressions they use at certain times. So you have to not only become a good listener, you also have to be perceptive and focus on what people are saying, what they're trying to say, and how they express what they're saying, and focus on the words. So you can do this anytime. You can do this while you're speaking to people. You can do it while you're watching TV. You can do it while you're watching a TED talk, listening to a TED talk. You can listen to so many things in this way. And this is what, if you start to learn to focus on these different aspects of language, you will find that there'll be a whole lot there that before you hadn't really had a grasp on, not fully understood or not fully taken on board. And so listening is where it starts. But then what you have to do after you've heard what you're listening to is work on making it comprehensible to yourself and see where it fits in, and start to bring it in into your own speech. And once you bring it into your own speech, that's when improvement happens. So when you're listening, for example, you can listen to pronunciation for a short time, how they pronounce that, or you can be listening to how they express that, or listen to the words they're using to express what they want to say. So the key is to know that you can direct your listening to whatever you want to direct it to. It's your choice. And this is a skill in itself to be able to do that, which you need to work on so that skill actually improves, as with any other skill. So the skill of directing your listening here or there also requires that you have an ability to relax while you're listening and not get absorbed in thinking about other things, or worrying or stressing or getting anxious or fearful. All of those emotional things which suck up your energy, you have to learn to let go of. So with time, you can absorb and hear more and make more sense of what you're hearing and what you're hearing from the people that you talk to. So that's my two bob, as they say, of what you need to do to successfully master a language. And I can virtually guarantee you that if your listening will improve, if you work on your listening in these ways, your speaking will improve. In fact, you can't do anything but that. Once you hear more, you want to use what you hear. Anyway, that's all for me for now. Till next time, it's been Andrew Weiler. All the best to you.